Good afternoon, Team Atlas here. Are you an astronaut? Do you have a trip planned to the moon? Well, make sure not to leave without your Pleiades anchor. This light, innovative design can be transported in bags of all sizes, or simply attached to your tool belt. The Pleiades anchor is a device in your arsenal capable of quick attachment and release on a multitude of surfaces or structures. Now you might be wondering how this all started. Well, this began with a team ready for a challenge and full of enthusiasm for physics, math, and creating things. When we started to brainstorm the process, we were inspired by the simple concept of how an umbrella works. How the umbrella opens and closes by sliding along a linear path. After much brainstorming, design, and testing, we developed the Pleiades anchor, named after 7 daughters of the Titan Atlas who were companions of Artemis. Our anchor consists of 11 individual unique parts. The whole anchor has a fully collapsed height and length of 300 millimeters, or roughly a foot, and 120 millimeters, or about 4.8 inches, respectively. Let's start with the central axis that holds the whole thing together. The main rod is the simplest part, only a single tube based on a length of PVC pipe. This single tube, however, holds every other part of the anchor together in the correct orientation, giving this simple part a big roll. The top slider, as its name suggests, slides from the top of the main rod down to meet the bottom slider. The top slider holds and supports most of the stresses applied to the long arms, making it another crucial member of the Pleiades anchor. The top slider is divided into 2 identical pieces that fit together, each piece having 3 radial protrusions, for a total of 6, to best utilize the stability afforded to hexagons. The long arms are the key principle for the whole anchor. The long arm is attached to both the top slider on the main rod and to the connecting short arms and to the microspine pads. Early on in the design process, they were straight rectangles with a hole in the end for a hook. One of our main roadblocks in the development of the long arms was getting them to the right length to maintain the range of motion and geometry we needed. We also stumbled across the problem of the arms consistently buckling when fully packed away. But after testing, modeling in SolidWorks, and iterative development, we discovered that the minimum angle the long and connecting arms must maintain is 10 degrees. This angle reliably allows the arms to separate and the top sliders to freely slide without obstruction. The short arms were one of the simpler parts of the whole anchor. They attached to the bottom slider and the long arms, maintaining shape and geometry. A couple issues we encountered were finding the correct length and size of the pins. The bottom slider is actually 2 identical pieces fitted together to allow for easy access of the pins and making replacing parts in the field far easier. Each piece consists of 3 radially attached points, totaling 6 sites for the 6 short arms when they are both mated. The bottom cap was devised after dividing the bottom slider into 2 pieces meant that it could no longer attach itself to the main rod. In turn, the bottom cap holds the bottom sliders to the bottom of the main rod. The pinning system consists of 2 parts, the pins themselves and their partners, the pin caps, mated together. Both parts have 4 round protrusions placed around their circumference for better grip when disassembling or tightening. The pins are designed with 2 grooves that allow the pin cap's internal protrusions to slide along. When the pin cap's protrusions reach the end of the grooves, the pin cap is twisted to align into a side channel cut perpendicular to the main grooves. Tension from the tight fit of the pin cap secures it to the pin. The tensioner is one of our key principles. The tensioner is how the anchor will work, how it will keep things tight on the moon. The tensioner went through many design trials. The original design consisted of one that would have internal hooks and grasp the thread as it was strung through. But in reality, after multiple trials, it didn't have enough friction. So we moved to a different design, kicked off by the idea of a boa. It would allow for a driving gear that could be slid into the front and attached to the outside of a ratcheting mechanism, such that when twisting the driving gear, it would turn clockwise but not turn counterclockwise. Inside the tensioner is a pinion, another gear driven by the driving gear. Inside there are also slots that can have thread threaded through. As the driving gear is spun clockwise, the pinion spins counterclockwise and spools up the thread. It is all self-contained inside of the casing. Once it's tight, you can leave the driving gear on. To loosen, you remove the driving gear and the pinion will unspool itself. Last, we have the microspine pad and mate. The pads hold the needles or other contact points that connect to the surfaces. The mate affixes the pads to the very tip of the long arms with pins. These pads have the ability to slide in and lock inside of the mate. The pads can be removed or replaced with additional spines or needles as needed. Then simply reattach the pad and continue anchoring. Now, in order to actually use the anchor, it is very easy. It can be learned quickly with little training. Step 1. Find something you want to attach to. Step 2. Place the anchor on top. Step 3. Tighten. Simple, reliable, versatile, the Pleiades anchor. Thank you for your time.